Who follows somebody who summarizes other people's ideas? Nobody. We follow the person who went first, and from going first, we know they have wisdom, they have insights, they have the map, they can give us hope because they've actually walked the journey. All right, hello guys, welcome back. Welcome to another episode. My name's Lisa Bean, and in today's episode, I want to share with you what I mean by thought leadership and talk you through 6 key things that you can consider when developing your unique thought leadership. It's a lot, so get comfortable and be ready to do some challenging thinking. All right, let's go. Okay, so I'm really big on thought leadership. And when I say thought leadership, oh my God, how many times have I mentioned it already? What I mean by that is being somebody worth following. Now, the word worth is very interesting because we are all worth following, but it's a very busy world. Lots of people have got needs and challenges and questions and things they're looking for. In order for you to be an effective thought leader and be of service and be useful to people, it's your job, not theirs. It's your job to articulate your message, think about who it's for, and put it together in a concise way that says, guys, if you're trying to solve this problem, here are the 6 things you need to consider. This is the map. This is what you need to do. And you can sit back and reflect and decide, this is my thought leadership. Obviously, we're going to do that now. But the ironic thing is, you can't just decide that you're a thought leader and be like, here are my messages, ta-da. Thought leadership comes from insight, wisdom, experience, life lived, and practice. The best way to develop your thought leadership and be somebody worth following is to turn up and practice sharing your messages and your content. So I always remember Tony Robbins, who I'm a big fan of. He was a major influence in my life. Back in 2015, 2016, I flew over to LA in the worst of my times and went to his Unleash the Power Within event. Changed my life. I felt in my body like I could live again at that event. I mean, not to put too fine a point on it, he does these online now, and if you get the chance, they are incredible. They are incredible. So I went live to this event, and I remember him saying, who's going to become a better speaker? The person who speaks once a month, or the person who stands up at every meeting, every networking event, and speaks every single day and practices speaking? The answer's obvious, isn't it? Who's going to be better at articulating the model, the path, their thought leadership, their wisdom? The person who sits and writes about it once every quarter in a launch, or the person who turns up and shares insights, nuggets, ideas every single day? When I was early on in my journey, I remember this moment. I got on stage. It was for the Sunshine Fund, a charity in the Northeast. I got on stage and I was the keynote speaker. It was an amazing opportunity. There was 350 business owners in the room, and I was doing a talk on how to change your life. And I told the story, the classic story, which I won't tell today, I'll tell it all the time, about going to the doctors and saying I had depression, and the doctor saying you need to go running. It was an incredible moment in my life. I shared this story, and when I was on stage, I felt so confident and so relaxed and so in my body. And I went off script a couple of times. I was reacting to the audience. We were laughing, and some things I said, people laughed, and I responded to it. And I felt in flow with the audience. The reason for that was because in the years, and I'm talking like 3 or 4 years preceding that moment, I was doing webinars, I was running courses, I was sharing vlogs nearly every single day, where I was practicing picking up a camera, picking up a microphone. Good God. I mean, that makes me sound like a singer, but there's a microphone in front of me now. Opening up Instagram, opening up Facebook, writing content. And here's the beautiful thing about social media: sharing a bit of content and immediately getting feedback. Yes, this resonated, or no, that didn't resonate. That resonated, but people dropped off after halfway through, right? What went wrong halfway through that video? And I can't tell you how powerful the practice was to me. So if any of you are trying to build a business, be a thought leader, create a community, you really have to let go of your ego in the sense, and don't worry about everything being perfect or landing perfectly. The word you want is practice. It is a privilege to be able to turn up and practice sharing your message. Get over yourself, get out of your own way, and don't think, what is going to sell my course? Think, what am I teaching in the world? What is my big message? Who do I think I can help? And how can I turn up today and be useful to a group of people? one person, 5 people, 100 people. The idea of being useful to one person is exactly the same as being useful to 100 or 500 people. So before I get into it, I can't stress enough how important it is that you are creating content. And I don't want you to get into a state where like everything is content and it's so overwhelming, you don't know what to do. You have got to pick a platform. I'd really encourage you, pick a platform, pick a medium, and pick a timescale. The platform, Instagram, try Reels. But the Reels, it isn't even the reel that matters. It's the copy that goes with the reel. Or if you're talking to camera, it's what you're saying. If you don't want to be on video and you're not into Instagram, go on LinkedIn and see if you can write articles or really juicy little nuggets of information. You don't want to go on LinkedIn or it takes too long to write, get a microphone, get your phone, like how I started these podcasts, and start speaking into your phone. So I used to do a voice note on a Monday morning. It's evolved a bit since then. And I just open up my recorder on my phone and think, right, what has been a message that's been really useful to my communities in the past week? And I would share a more articulated, more practiced version of that message. And it would go out as a voice note, 7 minutes, 8 minutes, that was it. And doing that helped me to become a better speaker, more organized with my thinking, and it helped me build an audience, okay? So the biggest thing I would say to you is you got to start practicing, you got to start turning up, got to get over yourself a little bit, think about the people you're helping, not so much yourself, and most of your early content is just going to tank and not be very good, and that's fine. So a little snippet for you. I went to this Hay House event last weekend, the workshop. I did a whole episode on it. If you haven't listened, go back and listen. It's so good. Some of the biggest things I took away from this writer's workshop on how to be a better writer and get your book published. And I went up to Kelly Nataris, who was one of the event organizers and kind of main speakers of the day. She was amazing. Her energy was beautiful, just very warm, very charismatic, very confident, you just listened to her and trusted what she said. She's been an editor for decades. She's very, very good at what she did. And I spoke to her afterwards. I was telling her about the book and the sales that I'd made. And she said, Lisa, you should probably bring that book into Hay House. I said, yes, thank you. I know. I said, the funny thing is, I actually did send this proposal in about 5 years ago. And she laughed and she said, doesn't matter, send it in again. And I said, no, what I'm saying is I sent the proposal in 5 or 6 years ago, and having been to this weekend, I now know why that proposal wasn't picked up. It was rubbish. It was probably a lot about me. It was very waffly, blah, 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 blah. But in the years that have passed and in the training that I've done, I now know about who the customer is, what the message is, who I'm writing to, and what the promise is. And I think, 5 years, I self-published that first book. I hybrid published it with a company called Rethink Press. They did a brilliant job. Now I'm on a journey to getting an agent and going in and trying to get a book deal with a publishing house that wants to pay me instead of me pay them for the book. And it's taken me 5 years to get ready for that opportunity. Not to say it's going to take you 5 years to get good at speaking or writing or whatever, but you're not going to get good in your head. You get good by putting stuff out in the world and seeing how it lands and getting feedback, and you build one person at a time. All right? So with that being said, let's move on to what you can do with your thought leadership, and then I'm going to talk you through 6 key things that you can consider to help you develop yours. Okay, so I don't think I mentioned this in the beginning, so let's just do a quick few minutes on this. When I say write your thought leadership, what I mean by that is produce a long copy PDF. So your thought leadership is your idea on what it takes to get a result. It's what you believe, it's what your message is, but it also encapsulates what your proprietary model is. So if you teach somebody, like I teach good-hearted people how to build a 6-figure business properly, how to market, how to sell, how to build that business, and how to manage your mindset, huge shifts. I don't want that to be chaotic and messy and all over the place. What I want to do is say, guys, there's 5 key stages to this. Here's a model, here's a process. And I want to have 5 or 6 key messages that I talk about over and over. So you'll hear me talk a lot about uncover your purpose, trust your purpose is the path. You'll hear me talk a lot about be a thought leader, develop your model, turn up and be useful in the world. You also hear me talk a lot about funnel marketing, write the sales pages, how you make those better, how you craft the message, and how you build an audience and be useful up front, build credit in that audience. You've heard me talk about these things. That is my thought leadership. That's what I believe. That's what I think it takes. Peppered in with that, I talk a lot about mindset. I'm obsessed with psychology. I talk about my journey, about depression, the gym. I talk about the house, the renovation, the projects, the things I'm learning from that as well. That helps build personality, but the thought leadership is what it takes to build a scalable 6-figure online business, making a living doing what you love from a place of passion and purpose when you're a good-hearted entrepreneur. So in developing thought leadership, here's what you can do with it. It can become a book. You could write a book of what your idea is or what this process is. It could be a long copy PDF. I freaking love a long copy PDF. And in fact, if you're curious, this whole thing that I'm sharing with you today, I've written a PDF and it's about 40 pages, explaining what thought leadership is, talking you through it, how to do it. It could be a workshop. I run live workshops online, how to develop your thought leadership. It could be a course. It could be a podcast series of 4 or 5 episodes. It needs to have a vehicle, some kind of container for you to put your thoughts down and reorder them. What I'll say, and we're going to get into the stages of it, but you need a container, but you also need to have the attitude of this has got to get better. First version isn't going to cut it. And it's funny because I obviously wrote a book called First Ship Version. The idea is put it out in its messy glory. But as you follow me and you see me get into things, I say first version, brilliant, got you here. Now let's develop it. Let's edit it. Let's make it better. Let's re-go. Let's redo. Because I want you to get deeper into it and become more practiced and concise in your messaging and your ideas. So when I work with people in my one-to-one coaching program, Expansion Edge, in developing their thought leadership, I say to them before they pay me, this process is horrendous and you are going to do 6 or 7 versions of this with me. Are you ready for that? And on version 3, they're like, there can't be more edits. And I'm like, oh my goodness, we are not ready. And on version 3, they're like, Lisa, there can't be more edits. And I'm like, sit down, get ready. We are cutting 50% of this and there needs to be a section on this. And I'm not sorry. You have to be challenged in your thinking to make it better, deeper, richer, more original. If it feels like a robot could have written it, it's not your thought leadership, is it? I'll talk about that another time. Now, once you've done this and you've written the PDF or you've created the video series or the podcast or you've written the book, it is an incredible tool for 2 reasons. 1, it will have developed you. In you producing it, you have changed and evolved. Your message is more concise. Fact. Second thing is, it would deepen the relationship you have with your community because they now know what you're about and what you teach in the content that you shared and in how you shared it. You have built audience, you've built community. Long copy PDFs are brilliant as lead magnets, as opt-ins, as ways to get people to come over to learn more from you. They can be fantastic openings for courses. They can turn into books, which might lead to one-to-one coaching or speaking events. They're an incredible way of leading with value and being generous up front. All right? Are you sold on thought leadership? You should be. I hope you are. Now let's get into 6 things to think about when developing your thought leadership. It's a juicy episode, this one. All right, I'll give you the list and then we'll go through them all. So number 1, direction. Number 2, truth. Number 3, wisdom. Number 4, insights. Number 5, hope. And number 6, courage. We're going to go through each one of these right now. Okay, when I say direction, here's what I mean. When you're a coach or a consultant or a trainer and you work with clients, no matter what you do, I guarantee that there is a very similar process you take each and every one of your clients through. So every single time you're working with somebody, you always start here, go through these obstacles and end up there. The very first thing you want to do when developing your thought leadership is sit back and think, all right, there is a process to this. There is a method to this. Can I write out the steps? If a client's coming to me and saying, Lisa, I want to build a multiple 6-figure online business from my heart, be purpose-led and have it come from a place of integrity, how do I do that? I know exactly what those steps are. It's a 5-step process. And every time you get through the model, through the process, you start again and it deepens. So that process is what I teach in courses. It's what I write about in long copy PDFs. It's what I'm putting together in these workbooks for this program, straight line through. That is what I teach, that 5-stage process. So what you got to do first of all is think, right, my clients at the start of their journey or early days in their journey, they want this result. And you just got to think, what are the 5 or 8 or 3 key things they've got to do to get that result. And you've got to be honest. What are the true steps? So you can either pause and do that now or download the PDF that goes with this and work through it. But when I say direction, I want you to be able to say to the client, you want that result? Brilliant. Here's the 5 things you need to do. Here's the 5 things you need to know. Here are the 5 things that you need to evolve in yourself to get that result. Now, the second one is truth. And this is so good because I think there are a lot of porcupines in online marketing, and I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. My whole thing is tell the truth, be honest, have integrity. People these days have been in a funnel. They've opted in. They've been conned. They've been tricked. They've been robbed. I want to say never by me. Never by me, because the way to avoid that is by being so honest and upfront. And you'll know that one of my messages for years, right from the start, I never said, build a 6-figure business in 30 days, launch your course in 7 days, change your life in 7 days. I do not like those messages at all. One of my biggest messages has always been, and you could probably complete the sentence, it takes 2 to 4 years to build a scalable 6-figure business. Typically, when somebody comes to me to build a business, they're not at year 1. They're in year 2 or 3. Lisa, I've sold this. Lisa, I've figured out Kartra. Lisa, I've built a page. Lisa, I've done this. And it's all over the place beautifully. They've got all the pieces, and I'll say, amazing. You've got all of the pieces. Now we need sophistication and order and a bigger platform for what you've got. Let's go. And it's amazing. Where I say tell the truth, what I mean is look at your life and think, what were the bits that were really hard that you don't want to tell people about because you think it might put them off buying? You need to tell them that truth. The truth being, I had to overcome depression to get here. The truth being, I had to pay off £100,000 worth of debt in order to launch my dream business. And I got into debt 2 times after that, because whilst I was so good at making money, I wasn't very good at keeping money. I tell that story, I've got no shame over it, because thank you therapy, thank you books, thank you the work. You have to tell the truth of what this takes. When you tell the truth, people trust you. They go, this is so refreshing compared to what I've heard in the market, what I've seen in courses. People can smell a rat, they know. So you got to dig deep, look at the process you've written in step 1 and go, okay, now that I've written that process, what is the honest truth about what it took? What hurdles did I come up against? What are my probably deepest, darkest, most shameful secrets that I don't want to tell? I'm not saying out yourself and be vulnerable. I'm saying find a way to tell people what's ahead of them. The more honest you are and upfront you are, the better customer you'll attract, the more they will stick with it, and the more trust you will build in the market and your brand. So what's the truth you haven't told people yet? Go back and find it and build that into your 5 or 7 steps. Okay, this third one I think could be my favorite. This third one is wisdom, and it is different from truth. So we've got mapping out the 5 or 7 steps. This is the journey. Bum, 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 bum. These are the stages you go through. We've got tell the truth, go back and admit the bit you don't want to tell people because you think it'll be harder to sell the program. Tell them, it builds trust. The third one is wisdom. Now, if you've been on a journey and you truly have the result that you're selling, pray God that you do. Please, for integrity. I'm so big on that in this industry. We're building the credibility of this industry together. If you truly have the result that you're selling, you know what it takes and you have wisdom from that journey. Now, this wisdom might not sit in a step, but it is the richness of the step that helps it land. So, for example, here's a piece of wisdom that I have. I got into debt 3 times, 100K. I think the next time was like 65K, and the time after that was 8. The funny thing about it is, on that journey, I learned that the block that you have is so in front of you, it is right under your nose, hiding in plain sight. It is in disguise. And when you see it, it is unbelievable. So when I was trying to get out of debt, I was reading books about how to make money, how to change your money mindset, all kinds of things like this. And what I realized is, you can't change your money mindset because that is so broad a topic. It isn't it. Within money mindset, there are about 10 subcategories of money mindset. And one of the biggest things I had to realize was I am so good at selling. I'm so good at making money. I'm so good at business. And I don't mean to boast. I just had to accept that in myself. I'm very good at it. And the problem with that is it covers a multitude of sins. I can always make money. I've got that confidence in me and I give that confidence to my clients. We can always make money. Here's how you do it. Here's how you sell. With integrity, here's what that looks like. My problem was keeping hold of the money. So I had to go on a journey to figure out what was so bad for me about keeping the money. And it didn't feel safe or fair to me to have money. And all of my life, I gave it away. I had to trace that back to the very early messages I learned about money. And actually, I had no issue with money mindset. That wasn't the work. My work was all about self-worth, of being able to look in the mirror and say, I am worthy of security. that still has a thing for me. I can still feel energy and vibration in that. And one of the mantras I had to develop was, it is safe for me to have money and make more money. That was a big mantra that I had to develop. It's safe for me to have money and make more money. And I had to really work on, it wasn't like a money mindset thing. It was a self-worth thing. I only felt worthy if I was giving things to people. Now that's to do with, I've said it already, self-worth. So I had to really work on, I am worthy whether I have things or not. I am worthy of your time, your attention, your interest, your love, your friendship, your interest in my life, even if I'm not giving you something. Somewhere along the line, I adopted a message that I'm not worthy unless I can give something to you. And that give is probably financial. I'll be the first to buy lunch. I'll be the first to pay for that. I'll be the first to lead, to give. The second I get money, I'm like, who can I give it to? Well, Lisa, old pattern. How can you invest this money and set things up for the future? And with what's left, how can you be generous and have a great time with your family and friends? That was a huge thing for me. That's wisdom. And in knowing that, when I'm working with my clients and they tell me their block, I think, that's the versions of the block that your ego will allow you to see. And that's the version of the block it can handle. It's all right with you doing the work around that. The block is deeper than that. It's more personal than that. And it is so well hidden. It is operating in your life all day, every day, in plain sight, getting away with murder. That's what we've got to find. And one of the phrases that came out of that, you might have heard this if you're in any of my courses, what I say to people is, when you say, I'm too busy, I haven't got time, I'm not good enough, that is the story that your ego can live with. You can live in the energy of, I am not enough, because what you can't live with is the energy and the capacity beyond that story. You can't live with it because you can't even get to it. You can't even say it. What you can say isn't the block, because if you can say it, it can't possibly be the block. The block is the thing behind that. And that's a complicated topic. I'm making a mental note to myself to do an episode on that next week. Let's do that as next week's episode. But for now, what I want you to do is think about the conversations that you have with clients. And when they bring you their most difficult challenges, what wisdom do you give them? What little stories do you share? What anecdotes come out? Where do you coach someone through something tricky that gives them the aha breakthrough? That's your wisdom. That's your wisdom. And I don't think you're going to sit down with a coffee and a croissant and be like, let me think of my wisdom. I think you find your wisdom in your teaching. So my big tip to you here is, sure, sit down and think, what have I learned on this journey? Good start. But my best advice to you is get on calls, be generous, get into workshops, get into one-to-one coaching, turn up and have people bring you difficult problems and watch, because you are further along than them on the journey and you've done different work to them because you have a result they want. You have to embody that. And if you embody that, you have wisdom. If you embody that, you have wisdom. Find that wisdom, get on calls with people, let them challenge you, help them, and make sure you're recording those conversations or making little notes. That's the wisdom that when you pepper that, it's your thought leadership, your courses, your program, your books. That is where people go, like they breathe with you because they're like, that is so beautiful. Like sometimes when people hear your wisdom, they can't fully understand it, but they know it was magic and they'll tune in for more because they know you know something that they don't yet know, but they know they want to know what you know. So they'll go with you on the journey of knowing what you know. Shut up, Lisa, that's quite enough. You've got it. Wisdom. Okay, number 4 is your insights. Now, your insights aren't looking back. It's not wisdom. It's not the steps. It's not the process. Insights are you feeling the market, feeling the world, feeling what's happening, feeling people, and saying, I predict XYZ is unfolding. I can see ABC coming down the line. And if you say to me, Lisa, but I don't know what my insights are, I don't have any insights, I'll say, all right, what does your gut tell you about the changes you have to make in your business? What does your gut tell you about what you need to do to adapt to the way the industry is now? What are you afraid of changing? What do you know you have to do but you're avoiding? They're your insights. They're coming because you've got your fingers in all of these pies and you're consuming all of this stuff and you've got this capacity to look at the market, but also you're speaking to people who are feeding back to you. You've got this like deep vault and wealth of knowledge and information about now, about stuff that's happening now. They are your insights. So all you've got to do is think, right, and this is quite triggering for people. You've got to think, right, I know there are changes I need to make in my business. There's things I've got to update, change, evolve, try, do, introduce. Could you find the courage to articulate them and share them with people and say, guys, here are 3 things you might want to consider for what's coming down the line. Here are my 2 biggest insights right now. Number 1, and by the way, in me saying that, are you leaning in a little, thinking, oh, like what are Lisa's insights? Like, that's juicy. That's juicy. That's how you build community. They want to know because you're a leader in your field. Your customers aren't. They're coming to you because you are. It might be obvious to you, but it's not obvious to them. So here's one of my biggest insights right now. Intimacy matters. People want your books. They want your courses. Yes, they want that. But what they want more than any of that is you. Either they want to get on a one-to-one call with you and have you look at their work and give them feedback, or you talk to them and share your insights live. They want that real life intimate connection, or they want stuff that you're not really sharing. So in these podcasts, in these videos, in these episodes, in the stories in my books now, in my stories in my new book and my membership, I try to be more honest about what's really going on with me and what I'm learning and what I'm seeing, what I've been through. That intimacy is human connection. That's what people crave. So in your courses, in your programs, think, what is a nice, safe, balanced way for me to give more people more of my time live, ideally? Or how can I share more of myself in a way that feels safe and true to me so that people feel they know more of the truth of who I am and it helps people connect? The second biggest insight that I've got, if people are saying to me, Lisa, how do I grow my business? How do I build a community? I would say to them, do things live. Like, this is a bit bold, but don't have the attitude of, oh, I'm just going to run evergreen. I just want to make money and sit on a mountain and not turn up for people. I know that is pushed in the industry, but who wants a teacher like that? Who wants to pay someone who isn't present, who just puts things out and disappears? Who wants that? Don't we want to go to the live concert? Don't we want to go to the live event? Don't we want to see people live? So my second biggest thing is, don't try and just like put things together and be like, I'm so detached from this, it's evergreen, you can't get close to me. Get over yourself. I don't know if this is harsh, but get over yourself and think, how can I put together like a live event or a workshop or an online Zoom call and let people feel me right there and then in the energy? And in fact, I'm going to tell you this, my one-to-one clients, I've met very few of them in real life, and I'm so humbled that people would pay me what they pay me to only ever speak to me on Zoom. I'm in the process of messaging every single one of my one-to-one clients and going to where they are to buy them lunch, to have a coffee with them, to sit face-to-face and have a chat with them. Because the people who I've done this with, it is a different conversation face-to-face than it is on Zoom. Who doesn't want to work with a coach like that? That's the magic. So 2 things there on insights. One is intimacy, and the second thing is live presence. Share your life force and energy with them in the present person, even if it is online. It helps. And again, with this, if you are teaching and you've got communities, you've got programs, and you're deep in your market, you know what's coming down the line, you're seeing patterns, do the work to reflect on them, turn them into concise little ideas, make those your Instagram reels, and just watch what happens. Fifth and sixth one, I'm going to do these together. We're going to finish these up together. So number 5 is hope and number 6 is courage. When I pay people, I honestly don't think I really want their insights and knowledge, because when they share it with me, I feel like, yeah, I know that. And not in an ego way, just we know intuitively what we have to do. And we just don't want to do the work. When we're paying someone, what we're really paying for is to get in their energy of belief. We're paying to get in their energy of belief. We're paying to get in their vibration, because they're 2 or 3 steps ahead of us. They've done the work. They have the result. They know. And like the beliefs and the barriers and the blocks and the issues we've got just don't resonate with them. For them, it's in the past. They're like, what do you want about? Here's where you need to be. That's what we're paying for. So in your content, in your thought leadership pieces, in your courses, in your books, and the stuff you're creating, give people hope. Tell them why it's going to be okay. Tell them where you were, the hardships you went through, the lessons that you learned, and why you're so grateful for the pain. Because of the pain came the growth. Tell them that. And you can't just say, guys, it's going to be okay, you're going to make it. That is such BS. It's too light. You've got to say, guys, I've built all these companies, I've done all these sales, I've done blah, 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 but you need to know that I got into debt 3 times and I've really struggled with my mental health. And here's what I've learned on that process. And here's why I know you're going to make it. I did. And I didn't have help from here and I didn't get this. I did this. I took it upon myself. And here's what I would encourage you to do. Here's the journal prompt that helped me. Here's the book that changed my life. Here's the message I got from spirit, from guidance that really helped me go on that journey. Give people hope from your lived experience. Final one on this to finish up, because I've been chatting away. Number 6 is courage. I applaud you for even considering entertaining the idea that you might put some ideas together and have the audacity to share them on social media. That is an act of courage and it is an act of leadership. If you have the courage to turn up and post and sit with the idea that it might not get any likes, that it might get trolled, very, very rare that will happen, but you're putting an idea out there and you're exposing yourself and saying, I believe this. That is courage. That is courage. And people will look at you and they will take power and energy and confidence from the fact that you went first. I cannot say to my clients, post every day on social, and then they say, well, why don't you do that? And me go, oh, I'm not doing it. I'm not brave enough to go on social, but all of my mentors, I've read and I know this is the way to go. Who follows somebody who summarizes other people's ideas? Nobody. We follow the person who went first, and from going first, we know they have wisdom, they have insights, they have the map, they can give us hope because they've actually walked the journey and we trust what they are saying. That is what I mean, guys, by thought leadership. It is having the courage to actually be a leader, to go on the journey, to go through hell, and then come back and say, guys, it is really awful, actually. It's as bad as they say, but I've got 5 or 6 steps that are going to help you. Let me share them with you now. Stop crying. We are going to go through this together with intimacy, live and in person, up to date for 2024. We are entering very, very soon. I'm excited about that. So guys, I hope that's helped. If you want more on this, I've written an entire PDF. I don't know how many words it is. I think it's about 15,000 words. Oops. All about what thought leadership is, the opportunity that's coming down the line for you, and the 6, there's actually 8 in here, the 8 elements of thought leadership that you need to consider. It's a really good read. I also run live workshops on this to talk you through it and help you find the courage to step out and lead. So I'll put the links around the video. For now, guys, over and out. Next week, we'll be talking about the block that is right under your nose that when you see it, you'll go, how did I not see that the whole time? Over and out.